Welcome back, and thank you for joining for another whiskey review. Today, we're going to try Kentucky Straight Bourbon, the Michter's 10-year-old. For those of you familiar with this whiskey, I have barrel number 29D678. What's important is this. The 10-year-old will come out in batches of a single barrel, and then they'll bottle that barrel up, put on a little tag number, and then that's the batch that we'll usually hit locally here, at least in Columbus, Ohio. Now, Michter's is a distillery, but this is not whiskey that was distilled at that distillery. They've only been distilling whiskey at the distillery for probably 2 or 3 years, the new distillery they have in Kentucky. But what they've been doing in the past is, at an undisclosed distillery, they have been aging their own whiskeys and making their own whiskey. So basically what they do is they'll tell somebody, presumably in Kentucky, Heaven Hill, Buffalo Trace, hey, we want this recipe. So the mash bill, everything as far as the level of corn compared to rye, compared to barley, is dictated by them and overseen, I believe, by their people. Distilled, barreled, and then when it goes into bottling. So everything is controlled at some distillery that's undisclosed, and what we get is this product here, the 10-year-old. So it is a 47.2% ABV bottling, so not cask strength, but it is a bourbon with not only an age statement element, but a decently high proof. And like all bourbons, it is natural color and unchill filtered. So a pretty dark color there. Obviously, with the first fill American oak that usually hits most of these bourbons, it does impart a little darker color, and being that this one is 10 years old, it's pretty dark. Really on the level of, say, almost a Glendronach 18 as far as darkness, as far as color. Maybe a slight shade or two below, but just to give you a general idea. All right, so other than that, no one has really tasted any of the whiskeys that Michter's has distilled at its new distillery. So again, hopefully, once they start producing their own stuff and turning it out to the public, it'll be something similar to what you're getting here in this 10-year-old, because I thought enough of it that I thought I'd bring you guys a little review, tell you what I thought of it. Now, this is not a cheap bottle. A friend of mine was able to pick up a case, and I was able to purchase one off of him. It's about $121 here roughly in Columbus, Ohio, if you can get your hands on it, but it's not an easy task. The bourbon market here locally is very competitive. So unless you're wanting to stand in lines for an hour or two before work starts on a Monday or Tuesday, sometimes a little trouble getting your hands on some of these rarer bourbons. But we have the Michter's 10 here today, so I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. See if you can get your hands on it, if it's worth buying. Because again, 120 bucks for a bourbon is a steep price. It's only a 10-year-old whiskey. All right, guys, let's tell you what I'm picking up on the nose. Very sweet corn, sweet caramel, obviously vanilla. And nice spiciness. I would say it's almost a cinnamon spice. Slightly peppery. Almost like a white pepper along with that cinnamon spice. And almost like a carameled sweet corn. Have you ever had, say, like the popcorn where there's 3 different kinds of it in a little bucket? You have the plain popcorn, the butter popcorn, the caramel popcorn. Imagine the caramel popcorn with a little bit of butter and a really nice wallop of added sweetness. Almost surprisingly how sweet it is on the nose. Especially for something, is old or as mature as a 10-year-old bourbon. All right, I'm gonna take a little sip. So you're getting those traditional bourbon notes. You're getting a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of caramel. There's a very woody, very spicy characteristic to it. With bourbons in general, Kentucky Straight bourbons, it means it has to be at least 51% corn. However, the amount of rye and barley that's added to the mash is anyone's guess a lot of times. Now, I didn't do a ton of research on this to see if they kind of broke down the percentages, but what I will say is this. The level of spiciness on the palate would suggest it's a little bit higher of a rye content to me than your average bourbon. Let me put some water into it, see if I could soften it up a little bit. All right, now with a little bit of water, there is more of a citrus note coming out of this one. Almost like a light lemon, almost. I wouldn't say an orange. I would say, yeah, lemon. Maybe a lime. That vanilla and caramel is right there. That buttery popcorn with caramel and added sugar. And maybe just like a little bit of a farmy hay, like very dusty, dry hay after you've already barreled the hay, or excuse me, wrapped the hay, and then it's sat for a while and it's kind of started to dry out. Almost a little bit of that hay characteristic. I haven't been on a farm in years, but when I was younger, one of my cousins' parents had a farm, and we'd go there, ride tractors, whatever. It almost has that sort of late summer, the grass and the straws drying up, sort of dusty. Interesting notes. There's a lot here. And almost like there's some nutty quality to it as well. It's almost like a burnt cashew, an unsalted burnt cashew maybe. This is one of those scenarios where it's a really good idea to always add a little bit of water to a whiskey after you've tried it neat, of course. And the reason I say that is this. At first, I got a lot of the same bourbon notes, and I thought to myself, well, it's only 47.2%, and I don't have a ton of experience with this one. I've drank it a few times, shared it with a buddy, but it's my first bottle. I've had it here for a few months to try to open it up, but even that, putting a little bit of water into it will bring out a few more notes. Because this one actually is a fairly complex one. All right, last sip time. Spice instantly. Caramel, vanilla. Now it kind of sits in that buttery popcorn sort of on the palate. And that way it kind of reminds me of an Ardbeg 21 without smoke as far as a buttery popcorn finish. Really nice. I do think with a heavy price tag on this one that you might be better served to look at maybe a few other type bourbons. I've had a lot of good luck with Elijah Craig, the barrel proof ones. This is quite a bit sweeter of a bourbon than those, but as far as quality for the price that you pay, this one's kind of on the upper end as far as what I would like to pay for a bourbon, especially when it's just 10 years old. That being said, I'm still going to give it a good whiskey score of an 89 out of 100. I enjoy it. I would definitely buy another one for 120 bucks, but maybe only one more. It wasn't be something that I would collect or have multiple bottles of, other than the one that I've tried here, and I would like to save one, for the future to see if, it changes or how much my palate changes, say 3-4 years down the line. But an expensive bottle, not very easy to get, solid whiskey, 89 out of 100. If you guys have had this bottle, let me know what you think. Love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Until next time, I wish you happy drinking.